Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 148 of Nerdpod Generations. As always, I'm one of your illustrious host, Steve Taylor, along with the lovely Al Jetsam. Hello, sir.
Hello, friends and enemies.
We're coming at you in a little bit of a different way today. We are literally recording in the car after getting out of Deadpool and Wolverine, and we are going to start our first segment, which is going to be our impressions of Deadpool and Wolverine, literally 5 minutes from the end credit roll.
Seriously, like it just ended and we went to the bathroom and now we're here.
Yes, we were going to do this in the bathroom, but we figured that'd probably be bad.
They do say that the acoustics in bathrooms are better, but it is also kind of strange to do a podcast in a bathroom.
Yeah, yelling F words and stuff.
Yeah. So,
Deadpool and Wolverine, much anticipated. We have been waiting for this. Everyone's been waiting for this.
Some of us have been dreading it. Some of us have been pessimistic.
I'm going to make an initial call on this.
Okay.
From my side.
Okay.
I do need to see it again. As always, you know, a lot of emotions going to seeing something that you've been really anticipating for the first time.
Yeah.
This is my favorite MCU movie.
I can easily see that. We're going to start out without spoilers, and then we'll work our way into spoilers as we go.
Yes.
But, this was the first MCU movie I've seen since I think Infinity War that really actually gave me the comic book buzz that I look for when I watch these movies.
Yes.
Like all the way down, everything I could have wanted, all the little hints, all the little winks. And on top of that, it was extremely sentimental, and I can't.
Very sentimental, especially with everything in Wolverine's backstory.
Yeah.
And it was so.
It wasn't perfect.
So good.
I will say there were some elements of it that I found. I guess the best way I could call it is I would look at it cockeyed.
Okay.
I would look at it and be like, oh, really? Okay. So without going too into it, there's a instance with the X-Men that has to be explained. And I found that explanation was a little less than I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But I think overall I really enjoyed it. I also was really worried coming in. This isn't really a spoiler because this is the beginning of the movie. But coming in, I was hearing a lot about Deadpool and Vanessa's relationship is over and Deadpool's trying to put himself back together. And I was like, oh, not one of these.
Yeah.
And that is how the movie starts.
Yes.
And there is a part of me that kind of wishes we hadn't done that just because I find that to be kind of tawdry and old.
It is, but they don't really lay that much into it.
No, it's more of a setup than anything. It's not really something that we dwell on. And it's not like we meet Vanessa's new family or anything like that.
Yeah, no, nothing like that.
So it is more just like a superficial thing. I just wish that it was a little. I always find that to be like, ugh, especially with superheroes.
Yes.
You see that a lot with superheroes is the love interest has moved on from the superhero because they've realized they can't be in love with a superhero. And now the superhero has one more thing they have to deal with.
But I do appreciate that they never, and once again, this is not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. They never really say that he's doing this for her. It's always, I'm doing this for my family, and it's everyone in the picture.
Yeah.
Not just her. And that's a line, that's a scene from the or from the trailer. So once again, it's not spoiling anything.
Yeah.
This is the first Marvel movie that didn't follow the Marvel method.
Exactly.
And I think that's why I feel this way. Because, I still love not Falcon and Winter Soldier. I still love the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But even that had a couple moments that followed kind of the Marvel. This was completely, once again, this looks like Marvel had no hand in any of this movie.
I think that they had a hand in it, but I think only a gentle hand. I every time I see the TVA, it has Marvel's fingerprints all over it. But
yes.
That said, I think the use of the TVA here was actually very clever because it takes something that I complain about and kind of pokes fun at it and also says this is stupid and whatever, but it gives it a greater purpose at the same time.
Exactly.
And I think that's huge because that is something that I found deeply lacking in Loki was just they introduced the TVA and it just spawns more questions.
Yes.
And so to have it be the TVA's here and it's kind of here because we need it, but also it's kind of a joke.
Yeah.
I can deal with that.
And I like how they kind of did what the Acolyte tried to do with the Jedi, and they took the TVA and they made them the enemy.
Yeah.
And it's okay, yeah, there's still some good people in the TVA, but this shows you when somebody with their power can do, and he was literally going to destroy timelines just because he wants to.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck.
Yeah. So I like that is the setup and premise. I think that there's some really strong elements to this that you just don't get to see anywhere else because they play in the mud. You know, it's like they do the things that Marvel always kind of hints and pretends to do, but never is willing to do.
Yes.
Like you look at Guardians 2 and the Ravagers and everything that they did there. And you're like, man, you went to a lot of trouble to do this, but you're not going to do anything with it.
No, you're not going to stick the landing.
I don't know why we went to all this trouble. And this goes to the trouble, but uses it appropriately as part of the story.
Yes.
And it, you know, it really works.
I think of all of everything, it was just such a fun movie.
Yeah.
Like, like you said, it's not 100% perfect as far as following certain things and answering questions and some questions. But overall, I haven't laughed that hard in a comedy in a long time.
No, it was just a really good comedy and a really good superhero story.
And fuck, the action scenes were so good.
Yeah.
And I had heard the fight, and once again, you kind of see this in the trailer, the fight in the minivan was great, and it was great.
Yeah.
That was so fucking great.
That was good.
A fight in a minivan.
I just like how they set everything up.
Yeah.
You know, and that the payoff works. You know, it's a movie where as fans, you want to see Wolverine and Deadpool fight, and they're like, okay, so we're just going to have Wolverine and Deadpool fight like a few times.
Yes. And
it doesn't get boring or old or feel gimmicky. It's like, no, this is how these two deal with emotions.
Yeah. Once again, the low... Hugh Jackman, you and I have always had the issue where we love Hugh Jackman.
Oh my God.
And I think he's great, but he never quite fit the physical embodiment of the part. But then watching this again, I was like, God damn it, I just don't care because he's so fucking good.
Yeah.
He was so good in this movie.
Well, and they gave us what we wanted without going into...
Yes.
I don't want to spoil any of the cameos.
No, they definitely gave us what we wanted.
Because the cameos are a huge part. We'll get into that when we hit spoilers later.
Yes.
But I am so grateful for that entire sequence.
Yes.
Because it gave me so many things that I've wanted to see for so long. And it was like, oh, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. Oh, my God. And then the final reveal is just hilarious.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's so incredible and hilarious. And not something I knew I wanted, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, yeah, this is amazing.
And I love, as expected, there's a lot of shots taken at Marvel. There's a lot of shots taken at Fox.
Yeah.
Which is the fucking best. Especially that first one that happens while he's in the TVA.
Yeah.
We're not going to go into detail.
We're not going to go into the detail.
But that had me pissing my pants.
That
it was so
good.
funny.
That was so good. Oh, man. No, I am genuinely glad with how this movie came out.
Yes.
And
very much so.
I you know, we've been talking about this a lot this year. The back and forth between who will be stronger in the creative process, Kevin or Ryan. And I thank the gods that Ryan was the stronger hand on the wheel for this one.
And fucking Kevin probably is too, because this movie, if it does the business I think it's going to do, it could be a revitalization of Marvel if they learn from it.
If they learn from it. I think
and that's the problem.
The big thing they have to learn from this isn't you have to get as many crossovers as possible. And it isn't that you have to have this, and this in the movie. Whether it's stuff that I want or not. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that Marvel has been afraid to give us that they finally use, that I hope Marvel now takes and says, this is something that we want to keep doing. But it's not the key. It's not the only thing that's going to make the movie good.
Yes.
The biggest thing to take away from this is artistic license.
Yes.
You need to bring in somebody who loves the material and who has a vision for it. It can't just be this cookie cutter processed bullshit that it's been for like 5 years now. And that's being conservative. Some might say, including you, it's been much longer since the Marvel method really took root in the universe.
Oh, yeah.
And so to see this is just so refreshing.
And it's the first movie that truly, and now mind you, part of it is because it's very referential and fourth wall breaking, but it really leaned into a lot of canonical things that you and I have been begging them to do.
Yeah.
That you always hear, oh, well, we don't think it would work. Fucking everything worked.
All of it
that
works.
Was hard canon worked in this fucking movie.
We've been telling you for so long that it'll work. And just the executives for years have always just been like, oh, but we don't want it to get goofy. We don't want it to be stupid. It's like, what are you talking about? This is a comic book movie.
Yeah.
You're way past cool on that, man. Like, what are you talking about? We passed it 200 miles ago when we started making this goddamn thing. Of course it's going to be goofy. That's part of the joy of it. That's part of the fun. And I think that Ryan Reynolds definitely understands that in a big way. And I think it's also catching. I think that Hugh Jackman seemed like he was having more fun playing Wolverine in this movie than he has in a lot of other movies. You know, even ones where, whether it's ones where he just has a cameo like X-Men Apocalypse, or whether it's ones where he's centered around the entire movie, like Origins. I think that this is probably the most fun he's had since Logan playing the character. It's also the first time since Logan, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and I think like Logan, it's because the gloves are off. Literally, like he can be the real Wolverine with all the violence and all the swearing and all the. That's why Logan is truly the best Wolverine movie until this, really.
Yeah.
And it's like, I still think Logan as a standalone Wolverine movie is still the best. But I mean, this is like the same kind of characterization of Logan.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
It's so amazing. It hits every nail, quite literally, in a lot of ways that we've been talking about. Of just like, I want this, and I want this, and I'm angry about this, and I don't like this. And it just goes through, and it's like, okay, let's take this apart, and we're gonna, in some cases, we're gonna show you a proof of concept.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be very revealing. And in some cases, we're gonna show you a proof of concept, and you're going to be like, and this is why we didn't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But, man, I there were a few things still missing, I will say. It's not a spoiler, but there's no Alpha Flight mention.
Yes.
And I think like that was something that I didn't know if it was going to happen, but you figure 2 Canadian superheroes, maybe an Alpha Flight call out wouldn't be bad. I would have taken just a reference to Puck and Sasquatch, but like, you know, overall, I can't complain because they gave me so many other things that I truly enjoyed on a incredible nerd level of just like, this is what I've been waiting for. And especially with stuff like The Acolyte coming out this year, there's just been, for the last few years, so much just garbage nerd stuff where it pretends like it's nerd stuff, but it's not, because it doesn't have the heart and soul of the nerd thing that you love in it.
Yes, I agree.
And so I was delighted to see that this did not follow that trend.
All right, folks. So we are going to make a transition now. The next time you hear us, it will be a spoiler-filled finale to the review. This was our spoiler-free kind of let you know what our initial thoughts were.
You want to grade it?
I'm going to grade it an A+.
I'm also going to grade it an A+.
It was that fucking good.
I'm going to go out and see it again, probably at that theater, honestly.
Yeah.
Kelly wants to see it first off, but also just there's so many things that I want to unpack, so many things in the background that I want to take apart. So,
and we will be back in
We back.
All right, ladies and germs, we're back. We are now on solid earth. We are no longer driving in a beautiful electric vehicle.
We have different microphones now.
Different microphones, so it'll sound a little different. But this is now officially the
spoiler-filled
section of the show. The first half was spoiler-free, so just want to preface that before we go on. There are a lot of spoilers that we're going to talk about. There are a lot of cameos. There are a lot of things that happen with costumes, with everything. So if you do not want to listen to this part before you watch the movie, just go back, listen to that first part, come back and listen to this. All right?
Yeah, because this is where the good stuff is.
Yeah.
This is where Daddy hid all the candy.
We're gonna start at the beginning.
Yeah. It's a very good place to start.
Once again, I did hear I listened to the Jeremy Johns spoiler-free review, and he had said everyone that was concerned about the content and if they were able to push the envelope, the opening credit scene would show that that's not the case. And he was 100% right, because Deadpool shows up on Logan at Logan's grave, digs up his skeleton, and then breaks his skeleton apart and kills the TVA with the bones of Wolverine.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, that's to the Backstreet Boys.
So this is how we're starting.
Bye.
Yes.
Oh, and then he was doing the dance.
In Sync.
It's
an extremely different band.
Very different band. But and him doing the choreographed dancing in between killing guys was so fucking good.
It was one of the very first, like, it happened so quick, and I was like, I'm going to let this go because I don't want to stop you while you're getting ready.
Yeah.
But Logan's skeleton is indestructible for a reason.
Yeah.
And so him breaking off ribs, I'm like, I don't know about
Yeah,
that, Ryan.
that was more just... okay,
it was
that's
for the
fine.
joke. It
Yeah,
was
it's
for the fun,
joke.
which is why I'm gonna give it to him. It was just I have to say it. I have to say it.
So now the only thing that I think would make that legit is technically the bones are not held together by other bones, are held together by cartilage. So if the adamantium's only covered as bones, and it's not covering like the cartilage and the ligaments and all that,
then it just pops out.
it could just pop out.
Yeah.
But like then he puts the claws on it.
Yes.
It's so good.
That's so good.
Dude.
They continue the Deadpool tradition of hang on a second, let's rewind and see how we got here.
Yeah.
And this was the part that I was worried about is Deadpool's midlife crisis, which begins in a funny way.
It does.
And so we go to what Marvel really wants us to believe is Earth 616.
Yes.
It's truly not. I cannot emphasize this enough. Not Earth 616.
Yeah.
But he used the time slider to try and go and apply for the Avengers. And
so you get a nice cameo by Jon Favreau where he's it, and that was awesome.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted Wade to call him Foggy at one point. Like, that's the only thing I want, especially with everything that happens in the rest of the movie.
That's true.
That was like the one thing that I was like, oh, it's here, but we're not going to pick this apple. Okay. But it, a pretty decent scene.
Yes.
I am still of the mind, this doesn't change my opinion. Since when is Foggy the ambassador for the Avengers? When did that fucking happen?
Well, and that's what I love is he was making fun of that fact.
Yeah.
Like, aren't you the chauffeur? Like, what are you doing?
What are you doing here?
Because it really was. Lately, especially after Spider-Man Far From Home, he all of a sudden became like this.
This is it. He's happy as the guy that welcomes you in and shakes your hand, and you don't meet Iron Man or Captain America for another 2 days.
And it's like, to me, this is one of the few times in the movie where I know they gave us so much wonderfulness.
Yeah.
But they couldn't just talk Robert Downey Jr. into like walking in at the end or something and be like, "I get the fuck out of here," and like have him swear or like do like.
You're not supposed to sit in my fucking chair.
Yes.
I've told you not to sit in my fucking chair.
Yes, something like that. I thought that was the only real like big punch you in the face missed opportunity I felt in this.
I did. This is very niche, and I'm very curious. I'm sure the fanboys are going to be talking about it for years to come. But if you look in the background, they reference the fan theory that the Spider-Man fan, or rather the Iron Man fan at the end of Iron Man 2, that's a child, is Peter Parker. And they reference this by having the picture of Tony and Peter and the helmet in front of Peter so you can't see Peter. And it also, you could argue, is over Doctor Strange removing him from the timeline and all these other. So like
there's a lot.
There's a wellspring. They left this nice little oil derrick all set up ready for drilling.
Yeah. So then the movie kicks off and Deadpool is a used car salesman.
Yeah, this was where it lost me. This was where I was like,
and I agree with you, but I'm happy it didn't
linger.
It didn't linger at all. This was like 5 minutes of the movie.
It hit it like a first base.
Yes.
You have to. At some point, you're going to have to hit first base. And so they touched it, and they kept moving, and they tried to keep moving as quickly as possible. Yeah. I think they only dwell in this particular element of the timeline for maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, maybe. And I think the reason I think the only reason they did it is they were trying to figure out a way to get Peter, because Peter ends up becoming a bigger part of the story at the end, even though he's only in the movie for like 5 minutes total. But in this beginning part, this is how they interject, because Peter supposedly was always a used car salesman, even in Deadpool 2 when he joined the X-Force, and Wade goes to work with him selling cars, and that scene where he's trying to sell a minivan is really fucking funny. And he really wants Wade to go back to being Deadpool, to the point where he even hangs his suit in the locker at the car dealer. But Wade's like, no, I'm done. He thinks this is what's best for him, and he's estranged from Vanessa, we find out, and he thinks this is what's going to help fix that, because it'll be stability.
And these are lines that we've dug previously, so having it be Deadpool digging them, I'm like, ugh. But like, that's one of the things I like about your storyline is you and Vanessa, and how they turn her into Lady Death and all these other things. I don't want you to fuck with that.
Yeah, but the good thing is, and we talked about this in kind of in the spoiler free, the good thing about this is They don't dwell on it. Where a traditional MCU movie would have leaned hard into it.
They would have kept on coming back to it.
Yeah. I mean, if you blink during these scenes, or if you use the bathroom, you wouldn't even know that this is the part of the film.
This is all just to set up that Deadpool is at the lowest point in his life once again. I will say they have a surprise party, which I liked because it confirms that he did go through at the end of Deadpool 2, and all that stuff really does happen.
Yep, he saved everybody.
I did find it interesting that in this world of cameos, they couldn't convince Russell to come back.
Yeah,
that was interesting.
It doesn't. That I thought for sure he would be.
I kind of figured he would be there
because he's like part of their family.
Well, and he's like the entire reason for Deadpool 2. Yeah. So within the body of the plot, he drives that story in a lot of ways.
And it was, I mean, there is a very well-known reason for this, but it was a little also kind of jarring. No T.J. Miller, just because there has been that falling out, and there were all the issues with him. But it's like he was such an integral part of the first two movies that to not have him, I understand why, but that was a little jarring.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to have a different Weasel.
Yes.
And everybody just is going normal, and Deadpool just every once in a while says, I like the old guy more or something. Yeah, or you're way better than the new guy. This guy would never call in a bomb threat on a train, something like that. And because I agree, having Weasel there is vaguely important.
Kind of, yeah. He was, I mean, he helped Nate and Deadpool for fuck's sake.
And it's just another way to poke fun at everything that's happened.
Yeah.
And be self-referential on a whole new level. Instead, we get Blind Al and Deadpool naming as many euphemisms for cocaine as possible. Which unfortunately was spoiled
in the trailer, the very first trailer, too. But it was still funny.
It was still good. It's still a good scene.
And then he gets abducted by the TVA.
Yep.
And gets recruited by, what was his name?
Paradox.
To help become like a time warrior.
Yeah.
Help fix timelines.
They say that he is brought on by the upper management people.
Yes.
The upper management people have circled him in this dying timeline
and even
as somebody worth bringing on.
Probably not the truth, because he's going rogue and he's actually not working in conjunction with...
But that's literally the only reason we're given why Deadpool is recruited into this. So.
And I can't remember her name, but the actress, the character that was like running the TVA, she was their connection to Loki season 1 and 2, because she's like the lead TVA agent in those. I mean, and she's not in it a ton, but I do appreciate that's how they connect.
Yeah.
That little thing by having her.
That's the thing, is like, I despise the TVA for a bunch of reasons. I think the inclusion here works.
Yes, very much so.
In part because they do stuff like that. They anchor it properly.
Yes.
So it still has all the molding and furnishings of the TVA that we know from TV. But then they turn it on its head. And they say, well, if these are the rules, then we're going to play by the new rules.
And this has... You and I were laughing very loud. Our first big fourth wall break, to where when he gets recruited and refers to himself as Marvel Jesus, he steps away, grabs the camera, and says, "Fuck you, Fox! I'm going to Disney World," and like smashes the camera. That was so perfect.
It's so good. It was so good.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so amazing.
And like the referential elements of this were really on point.
Oh,
which you would have to have for a Deadpool movie. I can't imagine having a Deadpool movie where the references are bad.
But some of the shots he takes at
both of them, at both parties.
Oh my God. He crushes the MCU.
He has that whole monologue to Paradox where he starts calling himself Marvel Jesus because he's realized that Marvel is out of ideas.
Yeah.
The upper management is Kevin
Feige.
And Kevin is out of ideas.
Exactly.
And has circled this one guy as something that we can take from this dying universe and still use.
Which is so true.
Yeah.
Both guys. Yeah. Really, him and Wolverine from dying universes.
Well, then they start talking about that Disney will never let you die until you're 90. Hugh, until you're 90.
Until you're 90.
And so like I just love it. I love the mission he sets himself on. Q, that they say that he has adamantium swords for anybody who's like, but why would he be able to sword fight with Wolverine? Well, he has adamantium swords. Cool, great. Moving on.
Yes.
Where did you get him? TVA. Okay, perfect. That's good. Yeah, we're good. We're gonna keep going. That's perfect. Yep.
Don't need it anymore. And then the whole joke with him saying the guy was looking at his ass, and then when he's falling through the portal, the guy's all excited because his ass is coming at him.
Well, like, these are the jokes that James Gunn tries to make, and they don't land.
No, not at all.
Him and Joss Whedon.
Yep.
That guy was playing Galaga. That one worked. in Avengers Age of Ultron, this will only hurt a second, you lied, or whatever the guy says when Iron Man shoots everybody in the room. He's like, no, that hurt a lot. And it's like, I hate this. But this was funny. This was so because the guy is like so clearly denying it, and then when he makes his exit, when Deadpool makes his exit, the guy's face is just
he's so excited. It's so fucking good. So then that catches us up to Deadpool being, killing all the TVA, and then him realizing he needs to find a new Logan. And this starts a great montage.
This might be my favorite moment in the entire movie, because this is the moment where we get almost everything I've been wanting this whole goddamn time.
Pretty much every MCU fan, or not MCU, every Marvel fan who loves like core X-Men Wolverine.
Every great Wolverine, and they put him on screen.
Short Wolverine. And he doesn't even talk to him. He just is like, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah, this isn't gonna work. This isn't gonna work. I will say, I like that they purposely made the CGI bad.
It was so bad. It was just, it was his face. It was freaking
Jackman's face on this tiny body,
but the body was perfect.
Yeah,
like everything about that size was ideal. And it's like, dude, if you could just find somebody that fits that.
But it was so funny, and just him calling Wolverine a short king.
Yeah,
it's just, it's so good. Dude, it made me so happy.
Funny.
And then we go through. We get Age of Apocalypse Wolverine. Yep. We get Brown and Yellow Wolverine with a hint at a Hulk fight.
Dude, the Hulk fight was great. And what does he say when he turns to him? He says, he gives him the Loki speech, and the Hulk hits him through a rock.
And it's just so good. And it ends with, we see Old Man Logan, which was good. We see a few other Wolverines just kind of in passing. And then it ends with Cavalrine, the thing I didn't know I wanted, but now I love.
You were right. As soon as they showed his back and that wife beater,
I thought it was Doug Ray Scott.
Oh, you did?
I thought it was Doug Ray Scott. I thought it was going to be this hilarious. This is what Doug Ray Scott would have been if he had been Wolverine. And everybody who knows would be like, ha. Yeah. But that's not big enough. No. Not enough people know what Doug Ray Scott looks like.
Yeah.
And so they get Henry Cavill, and he is
so jacked.
So good.
He really is. So good. And he nails the tone,
oh, God,
everything.
It's so good. He has the cigar. Oh, my God.
It's
perfect. He punches Wade through a wall. Oh, it's everything I could ever want.
And then it ends up getting us to this universe's Logan that's in this movie, that he ends up going to a bar and it's pretty much wasted.
Yeah.
I gave up on everything Logan.
And why does he pick this Wolverine? Not just because he can take him with him, because Wolverine has drunk himself into this stupor that he can't get out of.
Claws.
But the fact that he's wearing a costume under his clothes.
Yes.
That's the reason he brings this Wolverine.
He looks at the camera and says, it's taken 20 fucking years.
Yeah, 20 fucking years, and we finally got you in costume. God damn it. It took so long.
Yeah.
And but this is what I'm talking about, is that it's not just that they make the reference and they show us the thing that we want. So it's not like, here's a reference, but you don't get to see it. And it's not, here's a reference and you get to see it, but it means nothing.
Yeah.
It's, here's a reference, you get to see it. It is intrinsic to the plot.
Yes.
And the characters also are just as fed up about how long it took to get here as everybody else is.
And to go with that, he makes that statement about the costume, and it's literally 20 seconds later they're walking through a portal to the TVA, and Wolverine's clothes are off, and he just has the costume.
Yeah.
On. So we literally see it right away.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh.
It's not revealed. It doesn't take 6 episodes before he puts on the costume.
Another reveal that doesn't happen until
the
later.
Very end.
Which is even
better.
Dude, I thought you were going to fall out of your seat when that happened.
It's literally what I've been begging for so long.
Worked
and
so fucking good.
Point us. Yes. Nerds had this one. Yes. I'm telling you straight up, from the beginning we had this one.
Oh my God. So then they get tased into the void, because they don't want to go along with.
Well, they realize that the TVA is working outside of the TVA's jurisdiction.
Paradox is not doing, because he's. What does he say? He said
Paradox is like he's decided that it's the humane thing to do.
To quickly destroy a universe instead of letting it slowly die.
Because, and I love the referential element of this. Yeah. If this was what Loki was, I'd be thrilled. But it never got here. It never dug into this fertile soil. They say that the universe is dying because Wolverine dies.
Yes.
That's exactly why those movies never kept going.
Yep.
is because they didn't have a figure like Wolverine who had carried it for 20 years over 3 different franchises and 4 if you count Deadpool itself. But like I love that they have that as like the center point of the plot.
Yeah.
Is like your universe is dying and it's not because of you, it's because Logan's gone and nobody cares if Logan's not here.
Yeah.
And so it's
and
like,
I do love that how each universe has like one key figure that needs to be part of it or it won't exist.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that again, this is the nerd shit that we're talking about.
That is really fucking
It's like
cool.
This is when we're talking about removing somebody from the timeline. This is why we get angry when things aren't done well. It's because it changes the whole structure. We're gonna get to the DC animated universe next week.
Yes.
But when you change one thing, it turns out it can change everything, even if those things don't touch. They can still be changed by each other. And so I just love this concept.
It's so good.
And I love that Paradox is working outside the bounds, and that's why they get sent to the Void. And again, the Void is, again, this opportunity that Marvel gave itself that it just didn't know what to do with.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, it's a nerd playground. I compare it to like your action figure toy chest, where it's just like, everything's in here. I'm going to grab everything out. I'm going to mix and match all of it. And Marvel never took that opportunity. But Ryan Reynolds saw the opportunity. He was like, we are playing in the toy chest, kids.
Fucking good. So they land in the Void, and it kicks off with what everyone's been waiting for, and that's the first big Wolverine Deadpool fight, which was fucking awesome. It was really good.
It's really good. It has some key shots. I love that he still does the stance. That Wolverine still goes all the way down. You still get the short king element of him being so low to the ground.
And then when, like, we haven't seen in other movies, really, when he attacks Deadpool, he's running like an animal.
All fours, yeah.
And it's like, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's what I want to see.
It's really good. And the jump strikes.
Yes.
We got so many jump strikes, and it never got old. It never ever got old.
Funny.
I was just, every time he did it, I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
It still makes me
Just
happy.
amazing.
The only thing we don't have is a fastball special. God, I would kill you for a fastball special.
I know. And they set it up because in the final scene when everyone's together, you have Wolverine and Colossus in the same scene. They don't talk, but they're in the same scene.
The same
so you're
room.
like, dude, they're in the same universe now. The proper Colossus and Wolverine.
I want a fastball special, and I want it now.
Yes.
So it's fine. It's fine. We can't all have candy with our dinner.
And here's where we get our first big cameo.
Yeah.
Because they're fighting.
Well, we get our first big, like, 6
them,
cameos.
And it's a awesome bait and switch that had you and I both at first thinking one thing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you start slapping me.
Oh my God.
Because it's definitely Chris Evans, but he's covered up, but they make it look like it's Captain America.
And they don't show his face.
They don't show his face.
He has like a hood up. He has a hood up.
Yes.
He has the whole thing. And so you're like, oh, it's Cap. And you see like a shield and a few other accoutrements around. And you're like, oh, it's Captain America. Oh, cool. It's a Captain America. Oh, my God. And even Deadpool's like, it's Captain America. This is amazing. Yeah. We're all going to be fine. Captain America's here.
But then Deadpool realized it when you realized it. And you're like, wait a second.
That's not Captain America.
It's a human fucking
It's Johnny Storm.
Oh, my God. Oh my God.
We've made it! This is everything we wanted! This is everything we ever could have hoped for!
And I bet Chris Evans loved.
Oh my God.
Because this was fully unleashed Johnny Storm.
And he didn't have to be jacked.
No.
He didn't have to be ripped. He didn't have to take his shirt off. He didn't have to have huge biceps.
And in fact, swear.
Yeah.
He got to fucking be funny
This
as
is
shit.
the Johnny Storm we've been waiting for.
Which gave us quite possibly... Like, this is up there as the absolute best end credit scene ever.
Yeah.
And it's because of fucking Chris Evans.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I want to watch that like 70 more times.
Yeah, I know.
It's so fucking funny.
I know, it's so good. But it's such a great reveal.
Yes.
And it's just such an amazing moment because I'm just sitting there like, yeah, it's Captain America. Why? This doesn't feel like it's Captain America.
No.
Like, this feels anticlimactic to have this be Captain America. You could do something different. You could do something bigger. And then I look and I see, like, the inside of his suit is blue. And everybody else is like, oh, Captain America, blue. And I'm like, nah, something's not right. Something's off about this. I don't know what it is. I've tripped over this multiverse all over the place. Something's not right about this.
That great scene where Deadpool's like, oh, he's going to say it. And then as Deadpool's saying Avengers Assemble, he yells,
Flame on!
And they're like, holy fuck, it is!
The only thing, and I can't fault them because it's 100% true, the only thing that made me angry about it was that you have Johnny Storm, and he's here, and he's fully fledged and everything that we could want, and Pyro immediately puts him out of commission.
Yes.
And I'm like, God damn it. Like, yes, of course, because he's Pyro, and...
He absorbed the flame.
It doesn't... Because, of course, because...
Yeah.
But... we were so close! But we do get a Sabretooth Wolverine face-off, kind of a samurai-style face-off.
Very quick.
We have a lot of Mad Max jokes.
Dude, he's giving the Furiosa speech.
Oh my god.
That was the funniest guy, dude. I was dying.
So fucking good.
So good.
So fucking good. And so they are captured by these marauders.
And you see, let's see, I think on the convoy is mainly Pyro.
You have Toad.
And then
Sabretooth.
And that's really it.
That was really it.
See?
You see some of the Morlocks from... This was the other thing that I love, is that they had as kind of extras to fill in, they had the Morlocks from X3. Last Stand.
Yes.
The ones that aren't really Morlocks, they're just punk gangsters, so they just have tattoos and short hair.
And also, the big guy in the white and red striped shirt.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out who that is.
If you remember the Punisher movie with Thomas Jane, that's the Russian that attacks him. It's not the same actor, because the actor was the wrestler Edge, or not Edge. I can't think of his name. He's been in a bunch of movies, but he was in Magic Mike. He was in John Wick. He was the doorman when John Wick comes up.
Oh, okay.
I can't think of his name. But that's who the actor was in the Punisher movie. This is a different actor, but that's the exact shirt he was wearing.
Yeah.
The like tight sleeveless, big.
I knew he had to be somebody because he was definitely supposed to be somebody.
Yeah, it had to be him.
And so, but he has a big hammer.
And unfortunately, there were, like, you got some of these cameos, but they weren't the original actors.
Yeah. Well, they poke fun at that. They couldn't get Vinnie Jones.
Yes.
And so they have another version of the Juggernaut. I would have been just as happy with the Ryan Reynolds Juggernaut from Deadpool 2.
But what I appreciate about this is what they do to this Juggernaut, they couldn't do to the real Juggernaut.
No.
And I think that's what they were poking fun at.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's just this douchebag Juggernaut.
This Juggernaut is absolutely stoppable.
Yeah, we can fucking stop it.
Yeah.
And they stop him pretty fucking
fast.
They
stop him real fast.
Oh. They get brought up in front of Cassie Nova.
Yeah, Cassandra Nova.
Cassandra Nova, yeah. And she's fucking, I like her.
She's really good.
She's really good.
I like how they've adapted her.
Yes.
Because I always thought, I was wrong, but I always thought that she just had the exact same powers as Charles. No. She has the telekinetic abilities to go with what level of telepathic abilities
But what
Charles
I like
has.
is her telepathic, she has to
be touching you. To be
which
able
was
to.
awesome.
Yeah, and it was done so well.
Yeah.
By the end, it got a little overdone.
It did.
But I do like it. There was a level of where does the metaphysical match the reality? Is this actually happening? Is what she's doing actually happening to these people? Or is this more of a visualization of what's happening to them? And so we didn't really get an answer on that.
Yeah, we didn't get to it.
And it's fine. It's not a big deal.
And I appreciate that because, in honesty, the villains being both Paradox and Casanova, you don't technically, the whole focus of the movie is obviously...
The movie's about Deadpool and Wolverine.
And they both work as serviceable villains.
Yeah.
In their own way.
Well, and I like that Cassandra Nova brings so much power that she can hold her own with these two. And the healing factor element of it, I was a little like, okay, this is quite a lot of telekinetic energy if you can basically heal your wounds with telekinetic energy. That's impressive. Even Jean Grey can't do that.
But what is obvious is that since she's been in this void, she's as old as Charles really is, because they were twins, that she's been just focusing on learning her powers.
And she hasn't had anything else to distract her.
So, like, I could absolutely, like, if she was a villain... unfortunately, the only thing they do in this, which is the Marvel method, is killing the bad guy.
Yeah.
Which is too bad because I could see her being like a Magneto-level villain in multiple films.
Yeah.
Because she really, and the actress was awesome. Like, she did a great job.
She did a great job. Emma Corrin, I want to say, is the name of the actress. But she was very good.
Yes.
She was very menacing. She had a really strong pull to her.
Yep.
The presence that she brought. And it wasn't just the people kowtowing to her in the
Yes.
background. It was like her actual presence on screen was like, wow, this, you don't want to mess with this person.
Yeah.
This person's not scared of anything that's happening, and she really should be. There should be a level of concern when Deadpool and Wolverine walk in.
Yeah.
And to be as nonchalant, and Johnny Storm, and to be as nonchalant as she is, you're just like, wow, she is not worried at all about anything that comes through her door.
And then when we do see her, we're also seeing, once again, you said Juggernaut. We got Azazel.
Azazel.
We got Lady Deathstroke.
Yep.
There wasn't a ton of like really jump out cameos per se in this first little.
No.
Like there were those ones that really stood out.
Those were the ones that stood out. They had. I really deeply appreciate having the rest of that crowd be Morlocks from X3. I think that's really funny.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really funny that these rejects of rejects of rejects of rejects have found their way here, and this is where they are now in the canon.
Yeah.
Is we just need henchmen. Bring us the henchmen. And that's all they are. And unlike the usual Marvel method, it's not a faceless army.
Yeah.
It's an army of faces that you don't care about.
And it makes sense that they're following her now because she says that she has not only killed Magneto, but melted his helmet down so that nothing can stop her powers. And so the Morlocks, since they were so attached to Magneto, I could see them being like, fuck it.
We're going to follow her, Well, she's queen now.
And here's where we get the great Deadpool is putting all these words into Johnny Storm's mouth that we think he's putting them into Johnny Storm's mouth. So she removes Johnny Storm's skin.
Yes.
And that was fucking awesome.
That was intense.
That was intense.
That was the kind of shit that you see in like a Justice League Dark or something, where you know someone has the capability to do this, and people talk about it all the time, but you don't see it in a Marvel thing.
Yeah.
You don't. The Boys or Invincible, they would do something like this with a telekinetic, where they just pull the skin off of someone, and they're just left to fall apart because they don't have anything to hold their bones together. And it's like, when you see it,
dude, it was so good.
If it wasn't Johnny Storm. But then, of course, here's the other thing, is that Ryan Reynolds comes in, and as soon as he burns you, he has a nice little bomb, and he's like, we couldn't afford him for more than 3 scenes anyway. And you're like, okay, we're get it, folks. You know what? You're right, Ryan. Continue.
But that was the perfect.
You don't get that anywhere else.
No.
You just get the Band-Aid pulled off, and you're like, oh, I was really attached to that. You don't get the joke where the actual writer, producer comes to you and says, no, listen, I wanted him here too. That's why we put him here. But like, we kept him as long as we could. Yeah. And it makes everything so much better.
I purposely have put out of my mind as much as Loki season 1 as I can. I cannot remember what that big cloud creature is.
It's just a Marvel cloud creature. Yeah, it's just a hanging death. It's a sword of Damocles. Yeah. Anytime they need something to happen, this monster's going to show up and chase everybody away. Yeah. And so that's what happens.
And then they jump on a leg, which I didn't.
I think it was a Sentinel leg.
Was it a Sentinel leg?
I think it was a Sentinel leg.
I thought so at first, but I couldn't quite. I wasn't 100% sure.
I think so, because that would make sense why Wolverine knows to tear it open and rewire it.
Well, that's true.
Is because this is a maneuver that he's used before.
That is true. So him and Deadpool jump on a Sentinel leg, and they fly off humorously, I mean, to this...
The cliff from Up.
Yes, pretty much. And they land, and there's a diner. They go, and they get some spam and have a little exposition. And then as they're walking, they come face to face with... pretty Deadpool, let's say, which is Ryan Reynolds with the beautiful... Well, first they get a dog pool.
Yes.
The ugliest dog ever comes running.
Dogpool comes running up to Wade, and he immediately falls in love with it.
So awesome.
And then actual Ryan Reynolds with a top knot comes up, and he's just super Canadian.
It's so great.
And just like, oh, everything's fine, yeah? And just like, oh, it's so good.
And I just love how as he's talking to them, and... our Deadpool is holding the dog. It's just licking his mouth. Yeah. And he's not even paying attention. It's so fucking disgusting, but I had to laugh my ass off.
Oh, it was really good. Yeah. It was really good. And then, like...
he kind of talks about the others, and he says there are other Deadpools that are assholes.
He says you need to watch out for the Deadpool core. Yeah. And we are all like, I know those words. I got that reference. Yes. And
but then he said the others also, not just the Deadpool. There was others, and they're like, oh, okay, who are these?
Something else is happening. And we had heard about a resistance from Johnny Storm that he was a part of. I think this is about the time we find out that Wolverine's tragic backstory is that he went off like a stepdad and got drunk, and while he was out drinking, all the X-Men were killed by humans.
So I'm thinking it's kind of like X2.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too. My only thing was I looked at it and I was just like, but in X2, all those people, Cyclops and Jean and Storm, they're not there. And that's why
I'm
happens.
thinking it's not X2, but it's kind of in that realm where he wasn't there.
He wasn't there,
help.
and so something happened and they couldn't deal with the situation. Yeah. But it's just such few situations where you have Storm, Beast, Jean Grey, and Cyclops in the room, and they can't handle it. And it's just like if it was Magneto or Mr. Sinister or fucking Apocalypse. Fine, yeah, got it. A group of Humies with Reverend Stryker at the head of it. I could do Marauders. Could we do Marauders?
Yeah. So I'm kind of, they are very vague on everything when it comes to that.
Yeah, so, they just say that he wasn't there and he came home drunk and they were all dead.
Yeah.
And then we find out later on what he did in response to that.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things where when I heard it, I was like, oh, that's it?
Yeah.
That's the tragic. Okay. I kind of expected more. I don't know what I was expecting, but more than this. Even if it had just been that a bunch of people died, but like Scott didn't, and Scott had like banned him from the X-Men or something. But like just the idea that a bunch of X-Men died and he takes responsibility for that, I'm like, okay. But like you name some of the heaviest hitting X-Men that you can have. Like you have two Omega level mutants right there, and you have Cyclops, who's at least a 3, probably a 4, and Beast, who is definitely at least a 3. And that's not nothing.
No.
This isn't Teenage Iceman.
What I do like is, so what he says later, we'll skip just to that part. He says later I think the thing that really affected him wasn't necessarily their death, but the fact that he went on a killing spree and killed not only good people, or bad people, but good people too. Yeah. And like he just went into full Wolverine rage.
Oh, that's why he's in the bar at the end.
Yeah, that's why he's fucked up.
Yeah, that's why he's fucked up.
Yeah, because he kills
a lot of people.
So many people.
And apparently makes it so that mutants are even more reviled in the world with his killing spree, which does make me wonder why he's in a bar.
Yeah.
I do have to wonder, why is he in a bar? I feel like he should be not in a bar. There's a lot of really big prisons in the Marvel canon. Yeah. He should probably be in one of them.
But I like they kind of recycled the dialogue from the first X-Men when he's sitting at the bar after the fight.
Oh, they definitely did.
Yeah, I like
Get out of my bar,
and the guy
freak.
even had like the same kind of flannel shirt on.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like the scene. I like the scene. Don't get me wrong. I like the bar scene.
Yeah.
It's just another element of the explanation that I kind of look at and I'm like,
Yeah.
It's not a big deal, and there's enough good here that I'm willing to look over it.
Yeah.
But I would be remiss if I didn't point this out as a teacher and say, so what was the idea here?
Yeah.
Let's return here and let's develop this a little bit more.
So Ryan Reynolds, Pretty Deadpool, gives them his Honda Odyssey minivan.
Yep.
And they're driving off to find this resistance.
Yes.
And they end up getting into a fight in the minivan, which is
they get into a verbal argument
awesome.
And then an actual physical
that literally
argument.
Goes day and night since they both just healed.
Yeah,
they just
keep going and going and going.
The part that I think a lot of people miss that killed me is they're both passed out in the minivan after fighting for like a full day, and somebody steals their minivan, and when they show the two of them in the back, Logan is just sleeping, but Deadpool is completely wrapped up in the seatbelts like a mummy.
Yeah.
That absolutely murdered me because it was such a quick little scene.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh my God.
It's a great little sight gag.
It was so fucking funny.
And it's like, so this is how the fight stopped.
Yes.
Is that Wolverine, they got to a point where they were too tired, and Wolverine was able to subdue him by wrapping him up in a seatbelt.
Oh my God. It was so fucking funny.
Oh, it's so good.
So we get taken, they wake up in this cave, and they're with the Resistance. And who is the first person of the Resistance we meet?
Elektra.
Jennifer
like,
Gardner.
All right.
Who was great.
She
not
was
a big
amazing.
Jennifer Gardner fan.
I'm not an Elektra
amazing.
fan.
No?
She was really good. She was much better than she was as Elektra in either of the movies where she played Elektra.
Well, and it's once again, a lot of these characters, including, so we might as well say the other ones.
Yeah.
We get Wesley Snipes' Blade.
Which is amazing.
Which is incredible. We get Gambit.
Finally, we get Channing Tatum playing Gambit. Because when the card shows up, I was like, oh, you dusted off what's his nuts?
Yes.
John Connor of Mars, and he's going to be back here? Really? He's a big enough cut? No. This is the Gambit that we were promised at Comic-Con years ago. and he's in the full costume from the comics, the whole thing. There was a moment where I was like, oh, his eyes are blue. And then he throws a card and they light up red. I'm like, there we go. That's what we wanted,
and
baby.
He's I love they play off on the who's your dialect coach, because the accent kept kind of dropping.
Coming in
which
and
I
out
think they did that
on purpose.
Oh, it was so great.
It was really funny.
Because it went either really heavy where they couldn't understand it, or it sounded way too light. Yeah. He's like, I don't know who your dialect coach is.
It was really, really funny. I also love that they have so many jokes where they're talking, because you have these three figures that are these heroes from universes that have ended, and they don't really know what to do with themselves.
Yes.
The TVA found that they were too dangerous to leave. Their universes were ending, so the TVA dumped them in the void. And they're like, well, I don't know, what do we do now?
Yeah.
So I love that you have Blade talking about, not being Blade anymore, and Elektra talking about being dumped out of her universe, and then you have Gambit being like, some of us didn't even get universes. Yeah. It's like, fucking yes, right?
I don't even know my daddy. I don't even. But then the leader is X-23.
Yes.
So, well,
Daphne Keene, which I was
Laura,
that was Laura Kinney.
Yeah.
Laura Kinney or X-23
Yeah.
or Wolverine or Daphne Keene, depending on who you're talking to. That was one of the few things that was spoiled for me that I really wish hadn't been spoiled for me, because I tried so hard to avoid spoilers.
Yes.
But it's as simple as having Daphne Keene at the premiere.
Yes.
And it's just like, oh, so she's in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason she would be here, it's not like she and Hugh Jackman are really good friends in real life. The only reason she'd be here is if she's in the movie.
Yeah.
And it was the exact same thing that happened with Haley Atwell in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. When I saw her at the premiere, I was like, oh, so she's in the movie.
She's in the fucking movie.
Well, thank you. I would have liked to have seen that in the moment, and that's not even a trailer thing. That's just like a Hollywood thing. And, what are you going to do? Not have Daphne Keene come to the premiere? You can't punish her so you don't reveal stuff to fans. But
what I love is then they're discussing all the people that have died. Like the Punisher was in this universe.
The Punisher was in this universe and he died. They said Daredevil.
But Jennifer Garner's like, yeah, I didn't mind that.
Yeah, I didn't. That was
Which
fine.
was such a great shot at fucking that
Ben
fact that her and Ben
Affleck,
are divorced now. She's like, I don't give a shit.
There were a
about
few
that.
others that they quickly name dropped.
When Ryan Reynolds dropped that thing about Wolverine being something better since the divorce, because him and his wife got to, I was like, Jesus,
you really let yourself go since the divorce.
Yeah, how did he let him?
How did that get in there?
Like, Hugh Jackman must really be like, dude, you can say whatever the fuck you want. It was like, damn.
Well, and at one point they're on top of each other, and Deadpool is like, you're getting handsy. I'm gonna tell Blake. And
yeah, that's right.
And it's so good. But no, I really loved. Oh, that was the other one that I was just so excited about. It made my heart swell. Is when they're in the back of the truck and Johnny is explaining the void, and he says, "Yeah, Reed says."
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Oh my god, we get to hear these names.
Oh, and in a way that you haven't heard ever.
Yeah.
And it's just Reed says this. Oh my god, I've read those lines so many times in my life, and it's never mattered on a screen before, and it's finally here.
Yep.
The Reed Richards is the smartest man alive. This is what he says about the situation. Oh my god, we made it. Oh my god, it made my little heart sing.
It was so good. But then even what was it? Wesley Snipes who said, "I'm the only Blade."
I'm the only Blade, motherfucker.
And then Ryan Reynolds looks at the screen like, he will be the only Blade. He's
probably going to be the only Blade.
Dude, the shots taken at the MCU.
Oh my god.
So, even saying how the multiverse just hasn't worked.
Yeah.
And all,
this multiverse thing is a fiasco.
Yeah. Oh my god. It's so awesome. This is... Oh, I hope, and the problem is we're gonna go from this movie right to Agnes Knows Best, or whatever the fuck the name of that show is. And you're like, or Agatha, I mean, it's like, no, they should have made this movie, stopped everything, and say we are literally rebooting it from this.
Yeah, we're gonna start again. No, real quick, we're gonna go on a quick tangent. I found out about Agatha all along that made me really mad.
What?
Really, really mad. I was looking through the cast list. The boy that is in the trailer, the acolyte student, whatever you want to call him. His name is Wiccan, which means that they are stealing from themselves, because Wiccan is Wanda Maximoff's son, and a founding member of the Young Avengers. And I know that technically Billy is gone.
Yeah.
Billy Kaplan does not exist in this world.
Yeah.
But also,
hasn't that been kind of the plot of Wanda's whole thing, is to find a way to bring Billy and Tommy back?
Yeah.
So how are you going to have this guy be Wiccan if Billy is already Wiccan? And you already showed us that Billy was Wiccan in WandaVision. But now you're going to have a different Wiccan? What the fuck is wrong with you?
That's making me mad.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
All right, let's stop talking about bad Marvel, because that just made me really mad.
Right?
That made me really mad. I did not know that. That makes me even not want to watch that stupid show. All right, so we get them to all agree to attack Cassandra Nova.
Yes.
Like, they always play off of no one's ever escaped. And they're like, well, these guys escaped. If they escaped, we should be able to go back in.
We can go in.
Yeah.
Well, and I love the whole Wade going around being like, okay, all we need to do, the one thing that always stopped Chuck, right? And I love that he keeps calling him Chuck. It makes me so happy.
Yeah.
So happy. And so he's just like, okay, so the only thing that would work is if we had Magneto's helmet. And Electra's like, it won't work. It's melted down. It's gone. Damn it.
Yeah.
And then they're going over and they're like, oh, but what about Juggernaut's helmet? And again, this is one of the few moments that I kind of wish Ryan had kind of poked through the veneer and been like, it doesn't even make sense why she would let Juggernaut keep the helmet on the premises.
Yeah, no,
why would she even leave it here?
Yeah.
But like, we're not going to get into that. It's fine. So the plan is we're going to get Juggernaut's helmet and we're going to shut off her powers that way, or at least find a way to stop her.
Uh-huh.
And so we have this great scene of the charge on
oh my God.
The giant man costume.
And how they use Punisher's
rocket launcher,
the War Journal, like they actually said the comic.
And and then they say which Punisher. There have been 5.
Yeah,
and it's just like fucking
dude.
Yes,
it's so good.
Yes, this is everything.
And then they get out and they do the lineup, and it just turns into a fucking
and this is where I got so nervous because I thought the X-Force thing was so fucking funny.
Yeah,
the first time, and I was just sitting here like, are these guys all gonna fucking die again?
Yeah.
Are we just replaying the same joke from last time where you form a team and then everybody dies? No. We get Gambit in a fight.
And this is what I loved about it is before they went into the fight, I think it was Elektra that said, we're going to finally get the send-off we deserve.
We're going to get our ending.
And it's like, yes! Because these characters deserved it, and all of them.
Oh my God.
You got Blade being Blade. You got
my only complaint with Blade, why did you grab the smallest machete on the wall? Like, you should have had a bigger sword than this.
One. But it's
fine. Yeah. It's fine. I just was so happy. The Gambit fighting made me so happy.
Creating
because
the electric, the energy staff, and
I've been literally waiting for this since 2009.
Yeah.
And that's just from when they said that they were going to do Gambit.
Yeah.
That doesn't even include when I was getting ready for X2 and I was really hoping that Gambit was going to be in that one. Nope. We never got Gambit and Rogue in this universe. Never happened. But you know what we did get? Channing Tatum as Gambit fucking ruling the roost. So fucking good. So fucking good. This is what we've been waiting for. Yeah. This is what we've wanted this whole fucking time. So good. How hard was it to get here?
But then even Elektra just slashing people and fucking Blade kill. Like that whole fight was so fucking good. Even X-23 just fucking going ballistic.
I expected a reference to how Juggernaut keeps losing to little girls.
Yes,
he loses to Shadowcat in the one, and then in this one, X-23 cuts off his fucking head.
Yeah.
And it's just, this is why we didn't choose a different Juggernaut, is we needed a Juggernaut that could be taken down.
And that's what I appreciate about that. Yeah. So it's like, okay, they made the worst Juggernaut, and it's the Juggernaut that could actually get his head cut off. So it's like, okay, I'm so grateful that you did that.
Yeah.
Because, the Deadpool 2 Juggernaut is, without a doubt, the proper Juggernaut.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so fucking good.
It's so good. I was watching it right before we left, and it's just so good. I had forgotten that there's that whole choral hymn about the motherfucking Juggernaut.
Yes.
And it's just so fucking good.
It's so good.
It's so good. This is what we wanted.
Yes.
This is what we wanted this whole time. I don't know why it took 230 years to get here, but we got here.
Yeah.
And I don't forgive you for wasting my time, but I am glad that we got here.
Yeah. And then you get the Deadpool and Wolverine going against Cassandra and her getting into Wolverine's head. And the best way I could describe this is, if you've ever seen Star Trek First Contact, when the Borg Queen is trying to get Data it seems like he's following her, but then he's really just doing it as a diversion.
Yeah.
And I love that because but this is also, you get the great Hugh Jackman acting. Like, he's just really selling it. And you're like, oh, he's so distraught.
Yeah.
He's so destroyed, so devastated.
I was, again, little things I would change. The monuments that they're walking past, it almost became confusing because I didn't know what they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, they're monuments to all the fallen X-Men. Here's, really quick, I'm just going to throw this out there. Have them be statues of the X-Men in full costume. That'll be much better. And that'll make all of us a lot happier. And you won't have to pay for the rights to anybody's faces because they're all going to be bronze. So who fucking cares? I
am curious to see what the budget was on this movie because I saw an interview with Ryan Reynolds where he was saying that sometimes the bigger budget... Well, that was in the Hot Ones that we talked about. Where he says the bigger budget sometimes doesn't make a better movie.
Oh, no, he says specifically that having a smaller budget is a better way to make a movie.
So I'm curious to see what the budget was on this movie because there are those things that you say... It seems like they cut...
This could have been more. This could have been more.
But it did, I think, add to the movie. And make it, so I'm curious.
Yeah. But I will say they had a good deal of practical effects in this movie. And it made me very, very happy to see. Because when the CGI did show up, sometimes it was funny, like Short Wolverine. That was funny. And other times it's Dogpool's eyes when pretty Ryan Reynolds is dying. And you're just like, woof.
Yeah.
Woof. Oofa doofa. This is not good. And so, but... That's why we have so much practical in the movie, and it really works. They stop Cassandra by doing what every comic book hero knows. What you think is going to happen is Deadpool's going to put on the helmet. No. What you do is you put the helmet on Cassandra.
Yes.
That's the move.
And it literally cuts off everything.
She can't do anything if she's just in this box.
Yeah.
And so, and then you have side story 3 comes out of a portal, and it's Pyro showing up. And I do appreciate that they had the original Pyro.
Yeah, that's
cool
fun. They got him.
It would have been fun if they had made him Australian, but it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
And they before that he's kind of tracking them, and you find out that he's actually working for Paradox. And Paradox sends him, like, the whole point was to kill Cassandra Nova, even though they had a deal with her.
Yeah, they were going to just leave her there.
Yeah.
They were like, you can have our garbage. We don't really care about anything that goes down there.
And she loved it.
This world? Like,
she was, like, mad that they're invading her space.
Yeah. So the way that she puts it is that you peed on my side of the fence.
Yeah.
And I can't abide that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have you pee on my side of the fence. That's not okay.
And that's what I appreciated, because it ends up being that her thing is to destroy every other universe but the Void, because she really loves it.
Well, it would turn everything into the Void.
Yeah.
Everything would just fall into the Void, and she would be the mistress of everything in the Void.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
Yes.
The ending is really fun. It has a lot of cliche in it, but not in a bad way.
No. So Pyro ends up making them decide to take the helmet off so she can get them. And she pulls out, she goes, a wizard had appeared here. And it was Doctor Strange's fucking ring.
Yeah.
And even Reynolds is like, oh my God, is that Doctor Strange?
Oh,
and she gets
Strange.
What did he call the Marvel Circle or something?
Oh, it's a Marvel Sparkly Circle.
Marvel Sparkly Circle, that's right.
Yeah, and so this is how they're going to get back out of the Void.
And it brings them back to, let's call him Deadpool Prime's world.
Yeah.
Because it's right outside the TVA entrance to where they have
this time bomb.
Something smasher? Was it like it's something smasher?
Yeah, it's like a chronal smasher or something like that.
But it's like literally their apartment is right up the stairs because Blind Al's sticking her head out.
Yeah.
But this is where we get the face-off between Deadpool Wolverine and the Deadpool...
The Deadpool Corps.
The Deadpool Corps.
Yeah. And it's just, we don't get to see if Blake Lively is Lady Deadpool, but I'm fairly certain that she is.
I just looked up, and it was... Okay, so it had a budget of $200 million.
Okay.
Which, honestly, for Marvel, that's low compared to what they're usually in the $300 million. But Blake Lively is Lady Deadpool. You have Matthew McConaughey voices Cowboy Deadpool.
Oh, that's who that was.
And then you have Deadhead, which is just a floating skull that's still alive, and it's Nathan Fillion voicing that one. Headpool. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I love... They have, instead of Captain Britannia, they have Welshpool.
It's
so good.
Dude,
it's so good. Oh, Rob McElhenney was one of the TVA agents.
Yes.
I still wanted him to be D-Man. I still think that would have been the funniest fucking thing, is if he was D-Man and you have all the pieces here, all the ingredients are here, man.
I think a lot of that, the only reason is because they did lean on things that were already introduced in all different movies already.
I'm just saying.
I know. I love D-Man.
You have a dead Daredevil, and you have Wolverine. You can do D-Man.
You can do D-Man.
But I'm also just looking at the list. Nice Pool is listed under Gordon Reynolds.
Yeah. Which is awesome. Gordon Reynolds. But this gives us the great reveal of the movie, and that's when they're getting ready to fight, and Wolverine pulls his mask up.
Well, they come out from behind the station that they're behind.
To like a prayer, which, once again, Ryan Reynolds said Madonna never gives her music to movies, and he had to go and like on bended knee.
Yeah.
Because she was I do appreciate this too, at the premiere, she was there. Avril Lavigne was there because she had that big song during the where they're driving the minivan, and then NSYNC was there because of the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, they had a lot of 90s, 2000s. Dude. The fact that Goo Goo Dolls played the role that it had in this movie, I was like, hey, I always thought this was a great superhero song, but now other people do too.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it was great. He pulls out the cowl and he puts it on.
It was so good.
And it's everything we've wanted. It's everything I've wanted for so long.
It was so
perfect. It felt like it was missing when he wasn't wearing it.
Yes.
Because he has an entire full body yellow suit.
And the thing that solidified that for me is when they do the slow motion jump out of the back of the bus at the end of the fight.
Yes.
And he has the full posture and everything with the cowl.
The whole thing.
That was amazing.
That was so good.
That was fucking amazing.
Again, I've been waiting 20 fucking years.
Oh my God.
22 fucking years. 24 years.
Yeah.
X-Men 1 came out in 2000.
Dude.
And it's just, we've been waiting so long to get here.
And
we finally got here. And he doesn't take off the cowl until the very end of the movie.
Yes.
He wears it the whole time. Even when his shirt is destroyed, he's still wearing the cowl. And it's like, fuck yes, this is what we want. This is everything we've wanted this whole fucking time.
So they end up destroying all the Deadpools, and then Cassandra Nova comes out, and she goes down, and she's trying to destroy
Well, they don't
all the
destroy the
universes.
Deadpools.
No, we don't destroy them.
They give him a distraction.
The only one that doesn't have healing power though is fucking
nice Deadpool.
When he's like, "Oh, when's your healing power kick in?"
Healing power?
Fucking amazing.
It's so good,
dude. It was so fucking
and
good.
just I just love that Wolverine is getting on his case first with Johnny and now with this. He's like, he died from murder.
Yeah, you were murdered. You fucking
you
murdered
killed him. It's just so terrible that he's gone. I know that he would have wanted me to have his gold-plated Desert Eagle, whatever.
Awesome.
And it is just so good. It's so funny. That was the scene though where Dogpool's eyes, they really wanted to sell that Dogpool was looking back and forth between the two of them. So they have little like skydiver goggles on Dogpool, and they just put in CGI eyes that look back and forth, and it just was like, what is this?
Honestly, I was loving that scene so much that I didn't even care.
Yeah.
Like,
it was literally the only thing about the scene that I was like, what's happening here?
Yeah, it was so good.
But I really love everything about the Deadpool core.
Yeah.
That, again,
but then they all come back to life.
Yeah.
And what saves him but Peter Pool is how he liked to refer to himself, which Peter shows up in the Deadpool outfit with his belly hanging out.
Which also just makes me laugh because one of the things that they say, I think it's Lady Deadpool says, every Deadpool has a Peter. And I just think back to all the Deadpool Spider-Man comics.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. And I'm like, the 616, the real 616 Deadpool, his Peter is Peter Parker. And it just makes it even funnier.
And that scene in the van, which made no sense because there's no discussion of Spider-Man at all, where Deadpool's just going like he's doing Spider-Man, and then Wolverine's like, "Stop that!" And it's like, that's fucking awesome.
So good. It's so good
because he knows Spider-Man's around.
Yeah,
he just doesn't fucking...
I mean, you could argue this Deadpool has two Peters because Colossus is also Peter.
That's true. That is true.
Anyway, no, I love that, and they go on. And Deadpool's just like, have fun with my Peter.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's so great.
I think I love this movie.
I fucking love it. And they're all just putting him up on their shoulders.
Yeah, they're all just having a great time because all their Peters died. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons that they are part of this eternal core of hatred.
Yes.
That they don't have a Peter in their life to keep them on the straight and narrow. And it's just so good.
It's so great.
It's just so good.
Well, then we get to the point where they have to save, and the way they have to stop Cassandra is they say one of them has to go in and connect the two power sources, and that would overload everything.
There's a MacGuffin, and the MacGuffin has an off switch, but the off switch is going to kill you if you pull it.
Yeah, but they speak as if it would kill one person, so they go in together.
Well, not on purpose.
Deadpool goes in first, and then Wolverine comes in.
This was another moment where I was just like, but I feel like we're missing the really important thing in the interest of drama, which I get, and that's fine. Wolverine has this whole soliloquy where he's like, let me do this. I don't have anything to live for. Let me do this. You have a family. Go back to them. And then Deadpool basically does a quick bait and switch and jumps in the room instead and does a bunch of Spock.
That was fucking... And, maybe I'm Spock.
Yeah. And so and then Wolverine is watching him sacrifice himself, and he's trying to get into the room, and he's like punching the wall, and he's body slamming it to try and break the door down. I'm like, you have claws that can cut through anything. James, baby, my friend, what are we doing?
I think that just they needed that drama.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying, is that they wanted it to be dramatic, and so they added this element of Wolverine trying to bust his way in. And I'm just sitting here like, but there's one thing that Wolverine always does when he finds a wall that he needs to go through.
Cuts through it. Yeah. So, anyways, they team up together and stop Cassandra, and while it's happening, Wolverine's shirt gets ripped off. And so you first get Deadpool thirsting over Wolverine's abs. But then when Cassandra gets blown up and everyone in the TVA believes that the two of them are dead, and Paradox is trying to explain himself to his superior who's calling him out, and he's trying to lie like he was the one that's actually been helping things. But then Deadpool and Wolverine come up, and Wolverine, like you said, has the cowl but no shirt, and everyone starts thirsting over him. Yeah. And that one fucking killed me.
Put a shirt on, and everybody's like, "Oh,
so fucking
so
funny.
Good."
It's so good.
And it's just such a satisfying ending, because on top of everything else, you have like the ending that you expect, where everybody gets together. Wolverine says,
"You have the Avengers shout out."
You have several Avengers shout outs.
Yes, with the shawarma.
And then Dogpool comes back.
Yes.
And Wolverine's going to go off and find some purpose. And Deadpool's like, come upstairs and we'll hang out for a little bit. And you have a party, and Vanessa's there. And they make a deal with the TVA so that they can rescue like X-23 and Elektra and Gambit and that whole crew.
And so that's awesome knowing they're back.
They're somewhere.
Yeah,
they're somewhere out there. We could see them again, conceivably. But I love that the movie really ends with Ryan Reynolds giving a high school style farewell to this entire universe. And God help me, some of those movies were absolutely terrible, but I was like right below getting choked up. I wasn't going to cry, but it was just like, it brought such a warm, sentimental feeling to my heart and soul.
Yeah, and they played that Green Day song, Time of Our Lives, so that's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But no, it was great. They had the whole Fox universe got the send off.
Yeah,
and it was pretty awesome.
This is the end.
That was unexpected.
Agree this is the end. I did not expect that.
That was unexpected.
I did not expect that at all. And so when they start showing outtakes and behind the scenes stuff from X-Men, the original X-Men, I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is a fun gag, and it's not a gag.
No,
this is very real. This is a very real, sentimental. Thank you and goodbye. We appreciate everything you've done. You know, with everything that the Marvel canon is now would not have been without some of these movies. And whether that's the fact that the X-Men got the door open, Blade got the door open.
True.
X-Men busted the door down, and then Spider-Man kept it open.
Yep.
And then X2, big success. X3, not as much of a success. And then Marvel starts learning from some of Fox's mistakes. And then Fox continues to make mistakes on Marvel's behalf, a la Fan 4 Stick. And, you know, it's just like,
And they started to kind of rebound with X-Men's First Class and then Days of Future Past, but then they went...
But then Age of Apocalypse. There's elements of Apocalypse I really love, but there's also elements of it that I cringe.
Yeah.
It has some of the most cringeworthy elements of any movie, and it has nothing to do with the writing. It has everything to do with the filmmaking. I'm just saying... You don't need to actually take the actors to Auschwitz to film the scene at Auschwitz.
Yeah.
It's really distasteful. I really, really think that it deeply and badly colors that scene, as badly colored as Oscar Isaac's blue skin. And again, another thing that we learned from the X-Men universe, sometimes practical effects need to take a back seat.
And also the practical uniforms sometimes, because Oscar Isaac I love. He did look like Ivan Ooze from Power Rangers. And somebody at some point needed to say, maybe this costume needs to be adjusted a little bit.
This isn't working.
No. Because I can't watch that movie now without seeing Ivan Ooze.
No,
I just can't.
No. And I appreciate a lot of elements of that movie that I think other people overlook.
Yeah.
I think the fact that you have Weapon X in the movie is really cool. Yeah. That's super cool to me. Really cool. I don't care that it's a fucking cameo. I think it's really cool. I absolutely love the moment where Charles tells Jean to just go all out. Yeah. And the Phoenix Force appears. Canonically, it doesn't make any fucking sense, but you know what? They haven't done the Phoenix Force as a cosmic force in this universe, so it's just part of who Jean is. I've seen that in other canons too. Cool, great. It's here, and now you have Phoenix versus Apocalypse. Phoenix versus Apocalypse. Oh, shit, dude. And then you have the costumes at the end, and it's just like, this is everything I want. And then Dark Phoenix happened for the second time.
Yeah, that's
it's garbage. Impressive that it happened twice. Yeah, you wouldn't think so.
Well, they had the same writer wrote it, so it's like, dude, the same guy fucked it up both times. Don't let him write it again.
He wrote it badly the first time, and the second time they thought, you know what the solution to this is to let him write it and direct it. Yeah, that's the solution to this.
That's even worse.
Yeah, no, it didn't work. Turns out, funny story, it didn't work.
So then we get the post-credit scene where Deadpool walks into TVA and says, "Listen,
I am tired of being slandered."
Because part of the thing with the Chris Evans, with Johnny Storm getting killed, is he kept saying, "You're putting words in my mouth," and so
I didn't say that. I don't even know what that means.
So Deadpool replays it, and to see Chris Evans go off and say all those horrible things,
say some of these really vile things. Yes. It's so funny.
Oh my god,
it's so funny.
I was fucking dead.
Yeah,
that was the best.
No, if more Marvel movies were like this, where there is the first, second, and third element of this movie is a deep and passionate love for the source material. Yeah. Whether it's the fact that Wolverine wears the costume because everybody else gave him a hard time about not wanting to wear the costume when he was on the X-Men, and then all the X-Men died. Yeah. And so the best way he can remember and honor them is by wearing the goddamn costume every day and trying to live up to it. Yeah. That's fucking amazing. Yeah. I just wanted the costume and you turned it into an entire story beat. Yeah. That's the coolest fucking shit. And then you put the cowl on top. Holy fucking god, dude, this is the best fucking thing. This is everything I've wanted. You even gave me short Wolverine. Like, I can have gripes about, no Alpha Flight. And I can have gripes about how Vanessa and Wade have broken up. And I can have gripes about some of the canon that you choose to ignore. But God, the things that they do are so special and so unique to this experience. And it's just, it's what I wanted as a comic book fan. Yeah. It's what I needed to have faith in the system again.
And that's the good thing about the end is you get that kind of foreshadowing that Vanessa and Deadpool are getting back together. And then you also get Wolverine with his daughter. And you're like, dude, this is great.
Yeah. This is everything. So great. And it's not like I still like the Doctor Who David Tennant special, but it does kind of leave this hanging chad of like, but you have the Doctor and you've undone some great sadnesses, which is admirable, but also that kind of gave everything weight. Yeah, this great sadness, and I don't think that was the case here. Nope. It felt like everything. The fact that they still honor everything that happens in Logan, and allow for this is just like, okay, this is good. This feels right.
Yeah. No, but this was, oh my God. I've been trying to rack my brain on like where this sits in the pantheon. I think I got to definitely see it again, but in my pantheon of superhero movies, like MCU wise, as of my initial, and I've been thinking more as we've been talking, this is probably my favorite MCU movie. And it's up there as favorite comic book movies just because of what they did with the characters and how they laid into things. Like you're saying, fucking Gambit was like,
it's so good.
Seeing him fight.
When he unfurls the cards.
Yes.
We have been waiting so fucking long to see this.
Yes.
Some of us didn't just start watching X-Men when it showed up on Disney Plus in the fall last year.
Yes.
Or whenever it dropped. I don't fucking care. I can't be bothered. Some of us fucking love these characters for a long goddamn time. And we've been wanting to see them for a long goddamn time. And the fact that we finally got there, and in such an incredible fashion. Yeah. Like, I won't say I wasn't terrified. I was very terrified because I really thought that was going to be the joke. Was like, we're gonna show you everything you could ever want, and then we're going to kill them all. And you're just, oh, no, but I don't want that. I want to see them. we get to see them.
Yeah.
And as awkward as it is seeing Blade fight with this machete instead of like a big katana or something.
But then, like, he had the double-sided blade that
he still had the glaive.
Yeah, he had that. And it's like, he still had his guns.
He still had everything else, and he still had the attitude. And I will never get over, I'm the only Blade, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, I think he
and
might be.
And he said, no, what he says, I'm the only Blade and the only one that'll ever be.
Yeah.
And that's when Reynolds looked at the camera. It's like, fucking yeah, the way it's going.
It's very likely. It's extremely likely at this point. Does anybody remember that Blade is technically in the Eternals? Nobody remembers that.
No.
That's just
She just hears his voice.
No.
They don't remember that shit. Once again, I'm hoping this isn't, but I believe it is, kind of like a Werewolf by Night, where this is just one of those beautiful shining diamonds amongst shit. Mm-hmm. And I don't have faith that Marvel's going to continue off of this.
This is the thing, is that watching this doesn't make me look at Captain America Brave New World and think, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
All of my fears are fine. Everything's going to be great. I don't look at Agatha All Along and say, ooh, now I can't wait. Now I'm really excited for Agatha All Along. No.
Yeah.
Because that's not what we're talking about here. Those are Kevin's projects.
Yes.
Kevin has his own way of doing things.
Yes.
Ryan has his way of doing things, and that's what we really like. That's what we're gravitating towards. That's what we were talking about at the beginning of the show with the idea of, like, what do you take away from this? You don't take away that it has to have this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Those are smart things to learn, but what you need to take away from this is that artistic license and vision are what are most important.
And what you and I discussed about Phase 1 back in the day, how those movies seem to be... We're getting really quality writers and directors and giving them the freedom to make their movies.
Yeah.
And that went away Phase 2 on, where you can start to see the Marvel method and the control taking over.
Yeah.
And now it's unrecognizable garbage, where this was, like, I don't necessarily see where Feige had his hand in any of this. Like, I don't see the Marvel method at all in this. I know he definitely would have his input, but this one doesn't seem like an MCU movie. This felt like a legit Fox Deadpool movie that just happened to have the MCU in it.
Well, and it makes me actually kind of grateful that Marvel has had so many failures before this, because I think that is part of it. I think if I'm putting myself in that situation and I've had a bunch of failures recently and I'm the guy running this show and Ryan Reynolds comes in with this fully baked idea that's ready to go, your job has to just be at that point, this is good, we can't do this.
Yeah.
Disney won't give us the license to do this, but you can do everything else. We can't have cocaine on screen, but you can have jokes about cocaine, but we can't have any cocaine on screen. Like, that's the line. And that's what his role should be, instead of saying we have to do this and we have to get this in there, we have to do this and we have to make sure that this is happening, we got to make sure this is happening. And just, like, he has this terrible vision that, like, he clearly has an idea of what he wants, but I don't know who it makes happy. You know, I look at things like She-Hulk, and I look at things like Miss Marvel, and I look at things like even the Marvels, which is one of the better ones for me anyway. There's still some elements of those that I'm just like, what was the idea with this?
Yeah.
Where did we get here?
Yeah.
How did we get here? When did this happen? And so I think that needs to be the real lesson, is that Kevin needs to learn, hey, you can tell them, hey, we need you to do this, this, and this. But you don't get to then sit down at every meeting and say, this is how we're going to do this, and this is how we're going to do this.
I do wish, I think this also was in Hot Ones, where he said what were they going to call it? Alpha Cop?
Oh my God, that was the funniest shit.
So originally, for those of you who don't know, Ryan Reynolds, his original pitch was they were going to call the movie Alpha Cop. And the trailers were going to show this, like, crappy police drama. And 5 minutes in, the Marvel credits would roll, and Deadpool would be like, I'm just fucking with you. And it ended up being Deadpool. I'm like, dude, that would have been amazing.
If it had been like R.I.P.D. 2.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we couldn't get Jeff Bridges back, but we have Hugh Jackman. And it's that whole Al Pacino and Robert De Niro in a scene together where you're like, they can never be in a good scene together. And it just, I think that would have been the funniest fucking thing. The funniest
and how
fucking
funny it goes,
thing.
yeah, that opening night, the two people at the movie would be like, holy shit!
Yeah.
And he's like, then it would blow up from there. That would have been fucking awesome.
Oh, it would have been
great.
great.
But I really can't say enough about this movie. I can't wait to see it again.
Yeah,
this movie is so fucking good.
This is definitely one of the few recent ones that's going to go right into the Pantheon when it's available. I'll pay $15 to put this in the Pantheon.
Oh, absolutely.
And Marvel, if you're smart, you'll come out with an unrated version for me to enjoy even more, because that's one of the great things is that you learn from Pixar.
Yeah.
And they did this. We were watching the super duper cut for Deadpool 2,
which is a lot better.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, like Deadpool 2, I already really love as a movie. I think it's a great follow-up.
It is a great
follow-up. But then some of the things that they're able to say and do in the super duper cut is just like, this is premium shit.
It's fucking
but
good.
they have the Pixar level of like, we don't even need the lips to move.
That's true.
Deadpool's just standing there like a Power Ranger moving his head, and you can have anything coming out of his mouth.
That's true.
And so like I come out with an unrated version, Disney. You know you want to. You know you want to get in the dirt a little bit. Come on.
And that's the thing, I guess I got to give this movie credit. It was a longer movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like it.
No, it didn't feel terribly long. I think this was just over 2 hours.
Yeah, just over 2 hours. And it wasn't too much.
No, it never felt like it was slow or too much, or it never feels like too much of a good thing. You know, Rebel Moon, it was so indulgent on every level, and now there's going to be a director's cut, which I might watch it just to see if it makes it better, but I might also just fast forwards through it and see what's different.
No.
You know, like, because it's still, like, even after 2 episodes, it still felt like there were elements of it that were left undone. Like, just like, you can see that they were starting something and they didn't finish it. Yeah. And you're just like, okay, I feel like this was going somewhere, but it doesn't go anywhere.
No, it doesn't go anywhere.
And so I don't know if the 4.5 hour, 5 hour cut is going to fix that problem, but that's an incredibly indulgent movie.
Yes.
And it doesn't work for that indulgence. You have to be willing and ready to put up with that.
I agree.
This is not a movie that has that problem. It is incredibly indulgent. It is outrageously indulgent, but it never becomes frustrating. Yeah. It never becomes a pain in the ass. You're never sitting here like, okay, let's fucking go. What are we doing next?
It's just fun.
It's just fun. It's just a fun movie.
All right, folks. Well, that was Nerdpod Generations, episode 148. Really hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to go back, listen to our back catalog, which you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and also go to nerdpodgen.com, where you can get a little more info on us and some links to other things, including our YouTube channel. If you are in the realm of YouTube or podcasts, make sure to subscribe to both channels and hit the notification bell, leave likes, leave dislikes, let us know what you think. Let us know if there's anything else you want us to talk about. We hope to be doing more of these. But anyways, Al, who does our artwork and our music?
Our art is by Kortney Howell. Our music is by Brendan Williams and James Connolly.
Before we leave, the movie, we did see it at Apple Cinemas, and it was a great experience. For those of you in Rochester, New York, Pittsford Plaza, there's a Apple Cinemas in there now where you can order food, and it's a much more kind of relaxing and calm. And the movie started like 15 minutes after it was supposed to, or 10 minutes even, where typically you wait a half hour.
Half an hour at least, and Nicole Kidman comes out and thanks you instead of letting you just watch the fucking movie. Yeah. I came here to watch the movie, not to be thanked. Stop thanking me and let me watch the goddamn movie.
I know, we paid you, damn it. So if you're in Rochester, Apple Cinemas, and I'm Steve Taylor.
I'm Alfred Judson. Until next time, friends and enemies, dine in theaters are better. And next week we'll be talking a little monitor, anti-monitor. Throw a little John Constantine in there for fun.
Can't wait for that.
Have a good one, friends and enemies.
Good.